Shaitan is going to bring him close and will tell him that ni'ma ant, you have done well. Some people will come, they come with a lot of information. I've done this, I've made him do this, but Shaitan will not draw them close. The one that will draw close is the one that has caused friction, that has caused separation, talaq, between his woman and him himself. I will know because of the issues that arises from talaq. Wallahi, talaq is not something that one should really be happy about. Like we mentioned, alhamdulillah, the way it is arranged is one of those last things we mentioned. That if the eventuality occurs, then you take care of them. So when today people make talaq as something that is like encouraged. You see people divorcing women in the hospital just because they are sick. Is there anybody that cannot be sick? You see people divorcing women because they have not given them food, maybe at the appropriate time. If you take it back to the hadith, you say, tell us any part of the hadith where Prophet said it is compulsory for women to give the husband the food. It is compulsory for women to be the one that will be sweeping the room. You will not see those hadith, but it is part of like culture that has been laid down, not that it is compulsory on them. So people now do talaq just because of something flimsy excuses. Like we mentioned, even the Prophet a story that is in Quran, who arranged the wedding of Zainab bint Jahsh and Zayd. Zayd was like, in those days, adopted. We say adopted, just put it like that, adopted son of the Prophet. He didn't have anything. He didn't have much. But who arranged the marriage between him and Zainab is the Prophet. So, but Allah wanted to pass a message, and Allah wanted what He has decreed to happen. He now mentioned in that ayah in Surah Al-Ahzab that وَإِذْ تَقُولُ لِلَّذِي أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَأَنْعَمْتَ عَلَيْهِ أَمْسِكْ عَلَيْكَ زَوْجَكَ وَاتَّقِ اللَّهَ وَتُخْفِي فِي نَفْسِكَ مَا اللَّهُ مُبْدِيهِ وَتَخْشَى النَّاسَ وَاللَّهُ أَحَقُّ أَنْ تَخْشَى. It's a story that is there, is in Quran, just so that what Allah has decreed will happen. That when you, the Prophet ﷺ, when you were telling Zayd that you should keep your wife and fear Allah, and you are hiding in your soul, literally, because the ulama, they interpreted it in different ways, that you are hiding in your soul, in your mind, in your heart, what Allah has revealed to you. This is one of the interpretations. What Allah, and one of the wife of Prophet, that is Aisha, said, if the Prophet is to hide anything, if he were to hide anything, it is this ayah the Prophet will have hidden. But he cannot hide it because it is very, very tough decision for the Prophet to make. Now the point I'm trying to make there is that the Prophet arranged the marriage, but from that interpretation, is known to the Prophet that Zayd is going to divorce Zainab. There is something that is revealed, like I keep on mentioning, is one of the interpretations, a lot of interpretations, about 4 of them. Why? Because Zainab and Zayd, they were not really compatible. They were having a lot of issues in the marriage. Today fight, tomorrow fight, today fight, tomorrow this thing. To the extent that they didn't like one another again. But still at that, the Prophet wanted them to, as much as possible, keep the marriage. As much as possible. But even though Allah has decreed that this is going to happen, therefore there are reasons why that will happen. So but the point I'm making is that there's nobody in this life that does not have problem. The Prophet, the best of mankind, he said, خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِ وَأَنَّ خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِ. The best of you is the best towards his spouse, and I'm the best of you towards his spouse. But despite the fact that he was the best, he had issues with our mothers. رضي الله تعالى عنهن جميعا. So sometimes the issue, sometimes the issue, to the extent that even in the Quran or Surah Al-Tahrim. So it means that even the best of mankind has issues. So who is that person that will not have you with his wife? So at least the point being made is as much as possible. Because like I mentioned, Allah, blood is thicker than water. I do not know except Allah has decreed a mother to the children that will be like a mother to her own children. The blood is thicker. It's not easy. Mine is mine. Yours is yours. Even if you try your best, the mother will always be the mother. So I think the message is passed. The hadith I will mention is that if they are returned to you, then you should still take care of them. But you that you are returning them, it should be based on legitimate reasons. Because Allah has put you together, and do not break what Allah has joined together out of shaitan's whims and caprices. So I think inshallah we'll recite the last hadith. I decided to mention that because what we discussed most last time is that it is acceptable. But if it is not possible, then talaq can happen. And that was what we discussed last time. Like we mentioned, like if Allah is telling Prophet that Zayd and Zainab, they are going to work, they are going to leave, they are going to go separate ways. And I mentioned that Prophet even did the talaq for Hafsa, and he returned her. And many of the Sahaba, there was some talaq among them, and it happened. So it's something that is permissible, but then it should be based on legitimate reasons. So inshallah, the hadith for today is a short one. It's one hadith that will stop it there. That's the last aspect of that has to do with women in this book. Babu man kariha an yatamanna maut al-banat. That is section of the people, the scholars, that says it is makruh to launch or to desire that a female child should die. So meaning that it is makruh for one to have the desire that I want this child to die because she's just a female. That is the hadith. حدثنا عبد الله بن أبي شيبة قال حدثنا ابن مهدي عن سفيان عن عثمان بن الحارث أبي رواح عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما أن رجلا كان عنده وله بنات فتمنى موتهن فغضب ابن عمر فقال أنت ترزقهن. حديث ضعيف أخرجه المزي في تهذيب الكمال. The hadith is ضعيف, but according to the ulama, that the tarjuma, the message in that hadith, it is sahih. Certainly we know the section of the hadith that Abdillah ibn Umar, that one day a man was seated with him. Then that man was like saying and hoping that his daughters die. That for this is part of Jahiliyyah in those days. And Ibn Umar was angry, and that he was now telling the man that, are you the one that gives these daughters of yours? Yes, you give them food, but are you the one that really enrich them? It's Allah that provides the food eventually. If rain does not fall, when the rain didn't fall, I heard that people were praying, all of us were praying that rain should fall. But if the rain does not fall, we are going to. So that means that we are a very weak set of people, set of human beings, until Allah enriches us. But the section is that it's makruh. Now, why I decide I keep on saying makruh, because this is karaha, is to pass a message in fiqh. Now, the Imam Bukhari said that the section of those ulama that say it is makruh to launch, we know that to think that somebody should die, it is haram. Like to hope that this person, I want him to die, it's haram. It's not that it's makruh. But the message I want to pass there is that if you see makruh in the book of ulama, if you are reading it, you need to find out whether it is the makruh that is for haram or makruh that is just makruh. So makruh is divided into two, and that is the message here. There is the makruh at-tahrim and makruh at-tanzih. So the makruh that is actually, it is haram. So for this particular one, it is haram. And the ulama did not just arrive at that, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself used the word makruh for something that is haram. So, and that is where the ulama divided the makruh is makruh tahrim and makruh tanzih. Now, for instance, if you look at the Surah Al-Isra, Allah is mentioning some things that a Muslim should not be found doing at all. And one of the last impressions Allah mentioned in that ayah, that وَلَا تَمْشِ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ أَوْ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرْحًا إِنَّكَ لَن تَخْرِقَ الْجِبَالَ أَوْ تَخْرِقَ الْأَرْضَ وَلَن تَبْلُغَ الْجِبَالَ طُولًا كُلُّ ذَلِكَ كَانَ سَيِّئُهُ عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ مَكْرُوهًا. So what Allah is describing, it is haram. Everything is haram. That you don't more walk on ground as if you are the best of the best, arrogantly. And Allah said that كُلُّ ذَلِكَ كَانَ سَيِّئُهُ عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ مَكْرُوهًا. All these things I've mentioned before. وَلَا تَكْفُ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ بِعِلْمٍ. Allah mentioned several things. That all these things that they are seen, it's makruh. So makruh sometimes can be used for something that is haram. So if somebody comes and says this is makruh, so you need to confirm, is it makruh that is haram, or is it makruh tahrim, or makruh that is, and in fact, Prophet also added, Subhanallah wa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So this message, they tends to join together. The Prophet mentioned that, Inna Allah kariha lakum kila wa qala, wa kasratu suwa, wa ida'atil mal. And that hadith is sahih. So meaning that Allah has what? Has made makruh. That for you to just be saying what you don't know, hearsay, and to waste money, and again to ask too much of questions, that will lead you to kufr. So all these things, Prophet mentioned the word makruh, but then it is what? It is something that is haram. So ala kul hada is the message you want to pass. But then I give us an example. Okay, I think we should just leave it at that. That a man that was present with Abdullah ibn Umar, that he wanted the daughters to die, and Abdullah ibn Umar got angry. The ulama said the message from that is that it is encouraged to be angry at what is bad. In the presence of that particular person, when you have the power to be angry, it's not that somebody is doing what is bad and you are nodding your head in affirmation, or you are smiling. So if something bad is being done, if you cannot say anything, you cannot avert it with your hand, then the best thing is for you to stand up from that gathering and go to another place. So, but not for the person to be present. Otherwise, you watch it to be as if you are condoning what is evil. And it is mentioned that the Prophet ﷺ does not get angry on his own because of his own self, but he gets angry because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he doesn't raise his hand up like we mentioned before several times. He has never beaten anybody before, except when it is in the battlefield. And this is the best of mankind, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that a Muslim, he should not just be just like what just happened then about the people that were mentioning blasphemous statement against the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If somebody does not say that and you are just there smiling, or you are there, you have to let the person know that you don't take law into your hand. But then you have to let the person know that what you are doing is something that I don't like, is something that so you show your display. Whatever is wrong is wrong, and that is why we are where we are today. Because you see people committing crime, then you don't want to be labeled. Then you just keep quiet. You allow the things to flow. And then the fitna continue to spread on the surface of the earth. It is mentioned that evil, when you allow it when you allow it to just be there, evil eventually becomes the normalcy to people. That is the way our soul is. Because today, if an evil is committed, if you see what is bad today, like if you are going, you see a woman that is almost naked. If that's the first time you are seeing it, there's no way your heart will shake. But if you stay there, the next day you see it again, your heart will shake small. By the time it's getting to third, fourth, fifth exposure, it becomes a normal thing. I give us an example then. I will not mention the person involved. The person was in Lagos, in a car. The person is living in the north, and he went to Lagos to write an exam or something like that. So by the time he entered the car with his friend, so the information was that the brother was not comfortable because the women that sat down in the front, the way they were dressed, almost their back showing. The person was not happy. You know, when you are not really at ease. That the person went out and was now telling his friend, who is a kafir, how come? Did you see those women? We were coping. That the person said that, what is it? So this is like it's a normal thing that a kafir responding because he's used to that. And that friend of his from what? He's from the south. You know all those south, where it is normal for women to just open themselves. So Allah will have the message that didn't pass is that if you see an evil, if you cannot do anything, the best is to leave that place. I think inshallah we'll stop the hadith there. The summary of what we have discussed so far is, I beseech us in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be very kind to our women, starting from the mother, our daughters, our wife, and also our sisters. We should be close to them as much as possible, and we should be very patient. We should condone their excesses and also the inadequacies. Nobody is perfect except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah. Wallahu a'lam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.